We live in a country where excess is the standard, where everything is handed to us and we hardly have to fight for anything. Our collective cultural appetite has made us lazy, unhealthy, and bored, despite having an entertainment device for every appendage. Extreme Christian beliefs want us to believe that nature and everything within it doesn't matter because it is the creation of this almighty abusive Father God with a seemingly unquenchable appetite for bigotry and blind worship. Over the centuries, this robotic belief in an abusive Father in the sky has estranged us from our loving Mother in the trees and disconnected us from her very real teachings and lessons. Respect for the natural rhythms, for water, for trees, for animal welfare, and humans is unimportant to far too many people. We're using up our resources without any regard for our near future, never mind the futures of our children and grandchildren. On top of all these demeaning and disgusting ideas of a supreme male-dominated world with a finite future and unhealthy practices, earth-based spiritualities, and tribal cultural revival, even our country's own native population, are brushed aside and treated as infantile ignorance and novelty. Okay? This is our reality. It sounds harsh, but aren't we always taught that life and the world are harsh? Okay? Our culture is misogynistic, and at the same time, we're also destroying what it means to be men. We are constantly at odds with each other between our xenophobia and racism. We are so ignorant of other countries, even our state politics, of basic concepts. We have no common sense. We act like we shit diamonds. The belief in American exceptionalism is just proof that the USA is going through a self-important puberty where we just ignore our peer countries and don't accept the consequences of our actions. Sound familiar? Piss you off? Maybe just a little bit. Let's talk about something important. Food consumption. We eat such terrible food, and I've said this so many times, and it's because it's really important to me. We eat terrible food, and a lot of us know that, and more people are thankfully waking up to that fact. But it's taking a long time. Yet at the same time, how many of us are willing to make the sacrifice to give up Monsanto GMO delights? Yeah, it'll cost us more, and it sucks because far too many of us don't make enough money to buy the good stuff, and I promise, I mean, it's a big deal that we don't make enough money, and that's just another video entirely, money. It'll cost us more, I guess, in the long run, because if we're not eating good stuff, we're polluting our bodies, and we're compromising our health. That will cost us more. How many of us would even be willing to cut out fast food or junk food in the first place? Secondly, big one, we eat far too much food in general. Just too much food. And meat. We eat way too much meat. I know it's the manly thing to do to eat a lot of meat, and apparently vegetarianism is equivalent to weakness for some reason. Not only are we eating animals just ad nauseum and have no regard for them, but we eat cows. Just take cows. We eat cows to such an excess, the market can't sustain our hunger for them and our hamburger and steak cravings, that it's abusing these animals for the sake of profits. We are so hungry for cow. We are so hungry for this animal that the cattle industry is abusing its animals to sustain us. Okay, feedlots probably wouldn't exist if we would be willing to limit our animal intake. But we don't care because we're selfish. Another thing that bothers me a lot is technology, our reliance on technology. Yeah, it's a good thing that we can better our medical technology, improve our car safety, child safety, communication across the globe. This is great. Yet, despite the things that simplify and globalize our community, we ourselves have become complete robots. We have an entire world of knowledge at our fingertips, and yet we are still so ignorant. Ignorance can be fixed. We just don't care. We have no motivation to better ourselves. We are narcissistic and careless. I can't tell you how many people I've seen crossing the street with their eyes in their phones, just not paying attention to where they're going or what they're doing. We need everything in an instant. We don't want to wait. We don't want to be inconvenienced. We take our good fortune for granted, okay? There are so many causes that need our attention, from domestic abuse to fighting for affordable health care, raising the minimum wage, GMO labeling, banning plastic bottles, and yet so many people would rather stay in and watch TV. We're making excuses to not go out and better our country or even improve our lives in a more immediate way. A big thing to keep in mind is that we have this idea that someone else will do it. If we see a crime happening, this has happened, we may not call the police because someone else will do it. We don't want to get involved, somebody else will. We use this excuse to cop out of important things and good habits because other people will do it, so it's okay if we don't. Yet we don't realize that everyone is saying it, so it's not getting done. The other thing we have a habit of thinking is that we're one person. How can we make a difference in anything? I'm just one person out of 400 million, out of 6.9 billion. One person. How can I make a difference? Meanwhile, if everyone who thought this actually did the thing they thought they couldn't change, the thing would be changed. Thirdly, we have an incredibly bad habit of not being willing to make any sacrifices or to take ourselves out of our comfort zones for important causes. Not even little things, important things. One thing that melted my brain recently was reading that Nestle Waters had been illegally bottling California public and municipal waters during a 4-year-long drought. A 4-year-long drought. A drought so severe that residents have had to limit their own uses. Okay? There are water rationings happening in California. Okay? Meanwhile, this huge corporation is using up significantly more water than residential households. Did I mention this is going on during a severe drought? Profits before people and planet? Yes, I think so. How might we be able to stand up against this gross corporate misconduct and misuse of our natural resources? Anybody have an idea? We all stop buying Nestle products. Now, I've said that we should boycott them by not buying their products. Enter the people with 10 excuses why that won't work. You know why you think that might not work? I'm going to tell you what I think that you think. One reason might be because you can't even conceive of everyone getting together and actually having this conversation en masse. You can't imagine, even sometimes I can't imagine, that millions of people would actually stop buying a product because of some shady business practices. Can't even conceive of it happening. But I tell you what, history has shown us that if enough angry and fed up people get together and decide to do something, like picket at the White House in the rain and bitter cold for women's suffrage, or not do something like not ride the buses to protest racism even though it's moderately inconvenient, or recently, not eat at this bigoted person's restaurant, magical things happen. Okay? Magical things such as constitutional amendments and new laws that support equality. How do we know if we don't try that boycotting and protesting won't work when many of us have never tried it in the first place? Protesting and picketing, attending demonstrations and marches might be difficult. They may inconvenience us from time to time. It may mean being out late when you have to get up for work the following morning. It may mean giving up a portion of your day off. And in my case, it means putting myself so far out of my comfort zone that I get scared. I had panic, severe panic, but I still went door to door before the elections because I said this is way more important than me right now. It's worth every minute of your time. Even if your cause takes years and years to reach its goal. Can you imagine if Susan B. Anthony and her 19th century contemporaries gave up trying to fight for women's suffrage because it got too hard, it was taking too long, and it cut into their tea time? Susan B. Anthony died before her cause succeeded. Okay. Part of the reason we find participating in democracy boring and pointless is because our predecessors did all the work for us and we have cushy lives now because of them. I hate to break it to you, But there is still so much work left to do, and depending on the news you read and watch, they're lying to you. And depending on the entertainment, you're seeking to comfort you, is distracting you from your surroundings. It happens. You just watched an entire series on Netflix and you have no idea what's going on in the world around you. Blinders. On the small scale, I challenge you to cook more meals at home with GMO-free and organic or local ingredients. Stop. Stop buying processed snack foods for a whole month. Break up with Little Debbie and Captain Crunch and Doritos. Don't scoff at me. I know some of you are scoffing at me. I can almost hear it. I can feel it. When you reintroduce snacks, buy only one item per week. Make it last. Form new, better habits. You will feel better, okay? If everyone did this, stopped buying junk food for one entire month, and then only bought one item per week, we'll create less waste immediately and be able to put that money into a better place. We're already on the road to improving our everyday health. Maybe we'll eventually start following in Sweden's footsteps and lower the prices on organic healthy foods to allow people to afford them, and raise the prices on junk food. We buy cheap food and we don't even realize there's something wrong with it. On a greater scale, I challenge you to stop buying bottled water, paper towels, paper plates, napkins, other wasteful products. Look around your house. What are some things that you buy that you may not have to buy? What are some things you could cut out entirely? Take shorter showers, buy cloth napkins, buy your own water bottle, stop buying perfume. Perfume has chemicals in it. A lot of our cleaning products have chemicals in it. We don't even realize it. What if we bought unscented stuff? Maybe we wouldn't have respiratory issues. I'm just thinking outside the box here. Maybe people don't know what sacrifice means until they have no choice. Maybe once we fucked up enough and we have no choice but to do certain things, we'll realize maybe I should have just done the thing when it was easier. Maybe making better choices now will prevent a more severe situation in the future. Boycott Nestle. Boycott companies that are against GMO labeling. Recycle or reuse or upcycle anything you can. And mean it. Stick to it. Nature is your home, and we are part of a long line of civilizations that are destroying it because this world and this life just aren't as important as the next life in the clouds. Maybe sooner we'll ruin everything here and Jesus will come back. If we just ruin it as fast as possible, Jesus will come back sooner. I have some unpopular news for you. The natural world that we're ruining is where the next life will be. So maybe let's get our shit together. The nature you can see is more important for you than the Father God you can't see. And in many ways, nature and your fellow humans and animals and the water are the God that you think lives in the sky.